The internet is alive with quite a bit of commentary and deep interest regarding the chokehold that a UFC female fighter was put in after she was knocked out. It shocked a lot of people in the MMA, UFC world, something that we typically don't see, not even from men. But what a lot of people aren't saying is what I've been saying for like 20 years. So this is just validating what I already thought about this bloodthirsty society, why it shows certain things, why it promotes certain behaviors, certain expressions of combat, and how this dovetails in with the current reality of the current Rome, the current Nazi reality, the current reincarnated Nazi reality, the current reincarnated Rome, just like Philip K. Dick, the author of the books that inspired Total Recall and many others. He said this was a reincarnated Rome. What more evidence do we need with the Octagon at the White House while they bomb and kill innocent children in Iran? This is all connected. While they promote jobs for ICE to people that watch the UFC, while people are put in chokeholds, while people are killed in America, people are being programmed by this mess. They want us to kill ourselves. They want us to look forward to our deaths. Okay, so there's a lot of different points here that I'm going to share. But they are programming women to hurt women in ways that men, right now at least, are not allowed to. And then through the depictions of violence against women, including women slapping women in pornography, as well as men slapping women in pornography, things of that nature, it programs people, especially the young. Okay, and there's been a lot of things that I've noted about pop culture that is subtly bringing forth this really dark world of violence against women, where it's like industrialized. And then it's coupled with my isolation. It's coupled with the fact that women don't like me. It's a number of really dark, toxic factors coming together that this is something that I was warning about 15 years ago when I was criticizing World Wrestling, showing videos of women being body slammed by men. And then a copyright claim was put in by the WE, by Vince McMahon himself, likely, or his staff. They made the complaint and the video went down, right? So I've been discussing these things for years. I have the receipts, and I have the isolation. I have the loneliness. I have the poverty to show for it. So, yeah, I'm doubling down. This is a hellish world. Women are suffering from a form of ED. They're not attracted to good men that are fighting human trafficking. There's something really like fucked up about our wiring, where women are attracted to bad guys that ultimately in the end would traffic them, beat them, harm them, or entrap their soul in some way, right? Now, I support the martial arts, and I'd like to have a female partner to work out with, to do certain exercises with. Most of all, learn how to stay on your feet. Learn how to get out of like a chokehold. Learn how to fight with your fists. Learn how to hit hard. Learn how to defend yourself from hard punches. But certain MMA defense techniques, I think, are needed for the modern day and age to deal with people that fight like that. So the training is needed. What I'm talking about is the glamorization of people being knocked out, the glamorization of people being choked out, and other horrible things, right? We already have the glamorization of people being bombed. So these are low-level acts of violence in comparison to what is being done by the military. And these people, of course, are considered heroes. All these actions of genocide of these armies and militaries and governments, past, present, and future, they bring horrible energies and entities to those families and those generations and those regions that brought that destruction to those people. So I'm in one of those regions, and here we see this gladiator spectacle being promoted in Washington, D.C. So we are living in the day and age of violence against women being streamlined, being promoted, but under the guise of it being fiction, under the guise of it just being, adult entertainment or pornography, under the guise of it just being the UFC, under the guise of it just being entertainment. It's not actually considered by the people of our day and age promotion of violence against women, but it is. And there is something in people, because not everybody is completely evil. Sometimes they have like a spark within them that is still connected to the divine. Sometimes, some periods more than others. And they look at things like that and they go, there's something wrong about that. And that's what we've seen from a number of people commenting. But that's where I felt what I felt 10 years ago. I was in a bar called Pagosa Brewing in Pagosa Springs, Colorado in 2016 when I was scouting for places to, to get a plot of land basically for my RV so I can live there. And I noticed that they had this UFC on the screen, and there was something really unnatural and really negative about the energy that it was creating, just showing women beating women. Now, what's interesting about this and the gaslighting and the deceptions and the illusions, right, that many people have about certain religions. We have false accusations about people's intentions, what they're doing here, what they exist, what their value system is, while they overlook the attributes about their religion that may be peaceful. So in Islam, for example, it is haram to punch the face. It is a sin. It is against their religion in reality to do certain things to women. That doesn't mean that everybody follows the rules. That doesn't mean that everybody, in my opinion, is interpreting, their book the way that they should, but I am not an Orthodox Muslim. I disagree with a lot of things that's there. The point that I'm making is that there's a lot of projection right now onto immigrants and a lot of accusations made because of things that are in the Quran, when in reality, they are not the ones that are in control of this media that are promoting basically their own version of Sharia law. The real Sharia law is not what they call it, of course. It's not a call to terrorism, and I'm not a Muslim, but I know what I'm talking about here. And I know that they're programming people that want to be violent, just like they did before 9/11, to want to go out and kill people. And it's really disgusting, because these are the new Nazis. We're in a reincarnated Nazi Germany, and these are the types of conditionings that we're seeing. Right? People are being conditioned to the violence. And when people are conditioned to the violence, and violence against women, and violence against their own people, then they're more than likely to go along with the violence that's done against others, or to be silent, or to not protest. Not that protesting, that's another podcast, is doing anything to stop it, or to create friendships, which is why I'm not going to the protests, even if I have a shared sentiment. That podcast is coming. Subscribe if you're new. What the protesters don't get, why the protesters keep getting their ass kicked, why the left keeps getting its ass kicked. You want to hear that podcast? Subscribe if you're new. Right? But I'm here to talk about how, and for years I've said this, that we don't actually have real tough guys in this society willing to fight the system. Mentally, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, we have a lot of people serving the system. And so we've seen the rise of the UFC and martial arts. These people typically tend to lean to the right in many, many cases. So this is really fucked up. This has the energy of the 666 written all over it. And I am a recovering user of pornography. Okay, so I have close to 90 days. I am in my longest streak, and I've always criticized it, even if I've struggled with addiction from being single. And we'll talk about and go beyond these shameful words like addiction, and we'll talk about that in another podcast. Subscribe if you're new. But in pornography, there's just a lot of these man versus woman MMA type of videos, which, in the heat of the moment and passion is very erotic, but there, as a person that's intuitive, in case you did not pick up on that, I see dangerous repercussions for things like that for a society that's not spiritual, that's being taught literally to oppress other people, to take away other people's rights. you know, to lock people up, to put them in a cage. So these are the things that are taking place in our society. It's not a loving society, right? So you can't really match that type of content, put that type of content out there for free on the internet that little kids can watch, have them radicalized for years watching that, right? It's not neutral anymore when the country goes fascist, when there's like a deep, deep hatred of certain people. So I have a great fear for Muslim women in the future being gang raped and beaten to death, you know, in these types of rooms, in these types of warehouses, you know, where they're harmed because of their gender and their heritage, under the guise of them fighting terrorists. Evil people in human form right now plan to do horrible things. And I want to go down in human history as the one man amongst all of you that was awake enough to talk about the things that needed to be talked about. It's painful for me. It's painful for me to be alone right now. It's painful for me to be a person where I'm the one that women fear. I'm the one that women fear in this town. And it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. I'm a person that deserves to be talked to. I'm a person that deserves engagement. And it's wrong. It's wrong for people to think that something's wrong with me for seeing the future in the way that I see it. These things are warning signs, and you need to watch your back. This is why I'm glad, in a way, that I don't have a hot girlfriend or a hot wife or anything like that, or kids. I don't even have a girlfriend at all. And if I did have those things, or a bunch of women in my life that I was close to, that I would be worried about them. And there would be like a risk of me losing them in the future with what's coming. So in that sense, maybe this is why God made me what I am at 5'6", 5'7", in the skin tone that I am, in the heritage that I am, with the spirituality that I have, with the frequency that I'm vibrating at, so that I would stay alone, so that I would stay strong and stay sovereign and not corded up to these other people. So finally, like, I am needing to, like, you know, ending on the proper note here, find the right way to maintain my equilibrium when I read about violence against women or when I see it. Okay, and the trauma from years of addiction to that content, you know, where those things are taking place, you know, for example, women in chokeholds, other things, it damages the brain, especially when there are these racist, white supremacist overtones to it, where pornography features, you know, just blacks and just whites, for the most part. For the most part, with a few exceptions from, like, Latin America. But the point is, a lot of women in this society have chosen to stay with their abusers. Okay, and this whole, like, you know, people being choked out, it is representative of the system. So is that violent pornography. It is about people being submissive, women being submissive to the matrix. Okay, it's about women being submissive to bad men, and basically having ED when it comes to decent men that would protect the tribe and protect the children. This is all part of a deeper takeover of humanity. And so when I look at things like that, I need to remind myself that I already did warn about this, and I already have been ignored. I have to find a way to realize that I don't have to keep talking about this 24/7. I already have. I am being ignored. I have done the right thing. I have done the right thing before God. And I need to remind myself that I have earned the right to be a husband and the father. And if it's not going to happen on this planet, then it should happen on another planet, where I get to live through a more conscious version of the 1980s as an adult. And I believe those planets exist. I believe those realities exist. Thank you for listening.